Howdy, friends. I just want to take a couple minutes to give you a quick review of what took place at OCC this past weekend. First of all, we celebrated communion together, which is always a highlight of gathering together as the body of Christ. Now, this Sunday, as we looked at the Last Supper, we read a verse from Luke 22 that describes what took place among the disciples immediately following the Last Supper and just prior to the arrest and crucifixion of Jesus. In Luke 22:24, it tells us what happened. It says this: "A dispute also arose among them as to which of them was considered to be greatest." You know, how quickly the disciples had forgotten the lesson that Jesus had just given them. In fact, here in Luke 22, they argued about who was the greatest right after Jesus washed their feet in one of the greatest demonstrations of servanthood ever. Right after the Last Supper, communion, they're arguing about who's greater. Now, certainly they had missed the lesson that Jesus had been teaching them all along. However, there was another follower of Jesus who got it right. That follower is named John the Baptist. And we looked at his story a little bit. And in John chapter 3, we read about a time when some of John's followers were concerned that people were now following Jesus instead of following John. And John's response to this, it was priceless. In John 3:30, he says this about Jesus and about himself. He said, "He must become greater and I must become less." Let me say that again and let it really sink in. He must become greater and I must become less. You see, if we want to be like Jesus, he must become greater and I must become less. You see, some of the defining characteristics of Jesus, according to Philippians 2, is humility, service, and sacrifice. Those are three things that Jesus was known for. And so if we want Jesus to be greater in our lives, humility, service, and sacrifice should become more evident in our lives instead of our normal pride, self-centeredness, and greed. You see, if we're going to be like Jesus, we need to take John's words and apply them to our lives. That he must become greater and I must become less.